of the presenters that have presented in this session. Please feel free to put it in the chat box, in the comment box as well. Now I'll hand over then to Ronald again, and Ronald will take us through the last session of the day. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Stefan, and thank you to the presenters for the previous session. And also thank you for being so efficient. We are actually perfectly back on schedule. So well done with that interruption. So thank you very much, Bruce, and then Stefan for facilitating that session. We're now moving into our last session with 2 more presentations. The next presentation is by Jacqui Meyer. Definitely no need to introduce Jacqui. She's been familiar with the forest industry in a number of facets and formats. Over the past year, she's been working very closely with FSA, and we're also working for FSA as a coordinator of our timber industry pesticide working group, which has made a tremendous impact on that working group. And I can only thank Jacqui for her valuable contributions there. And that's also because that's a function from FSA where the workload has increased exponentially. And without having Jacqui as a coordinator, I think we would not have been able to address the challenges we have to address through our pesticide use in forestry. Today, Jacqui will also then present as a coordinator of one of our projects in the Sector Innovation Fund. Also quite a diverse project with 3 partners within it. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Jacqui to take us through this project. Thanks very much, Jacqui.
Thank you, Ronald. And yeah, it is quite an interesting project to share about. So let me open up my presentation to share with you. Just waiting a moment for everything to catch up. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to be presenting on this project, the Precision Forestry Approach to Modernizing Pesticide Testing, Availability and Sustainable Use Across the Forestry Sector. It sounds like quite a mouthful, and it really is. I will explain more as we get into it. So the sustainable control of pests, whether plant or animal, is crucial for maintaining the economic competitiveness in the global market. Pesticide use and pesticide control approaches must continually adapt to address the current and future challenges in global regulatory and economic pressures, as well as changing public perceptions. Investing in pesticide research, technology, and innovation is essential for the forestry sector to remain globally competitive while minimizing the environmental impact and protecting the health of the trees, workforce, and communities. International forestry certification schemes like Forestry Stewardship Council have shifted their approach in pesticide usage, rendering some of the traditional products redundant in South Africa. This change has also come through our government in ways as well. These changes have reduced the available number of pesticides in our toolkit, increasing the risk of risk resistance as fewer products are used over larger areas, challenging the effectiveness of the pest management strategies. The limited product options often heighten the risk of resistance and may impact forest productivity and therefore the industry's international competitiveness, economic viability, and job creation. Are we not changing?
Jacqui, your presentation is not changing on our side.
I know.
We're still on the title slide. Let's just blame Johannes. I think that works perfect for me.
Poor Johannes. There we go. Great.
Perfect, thanks.
So the aims and objectives of this project. The main aim is to expand the pest management toolkit currently available to the South African forestry industry. And to do this, we essentially have ended up with 2 sort of sub-projects within the main project itself. The first one is the testing of alternative pesticide products. So here is the identification of new pest management products that can fill the gaps, improve efficacy, environmental sustainability, and minimize the risk to human health, which are all in line with the FSC and PEFC standards, but also in line with government standards that are also coming into play. The second part of the project is the modernization of pesticide application. So as we are coming in line with the fourth industrial revolution, how can we use pesticide application methods in an innovative way through the UAVs or drone technology in plantations? And this project basically is going to ensure that the South African forestry does not get left behind, because the UAVs are often cited as an integral facet of the 4IR. This project will focus on developing an industry standard for use of the drones in application of pesticides. Okay, so on a very high level, the testing of the alternative pesticide products. This project, number one, involved a needs analysis. And this was a needs analysis of pests, pathogens, weed threats, their damage or potential damage, current control methods that are available, which includes those not currently used in forestry. The production of standardizing protocols for testing alternative products in both the field and nursery setting. Here we have the conundrum of trying to ensure that our protocols, number one, tick the box of being in line with the registrar according to Act 36, but number two, also will fulfill academic requirements as well. And then this project also includes conducting field and nursery-based testing of alternative products for the prioritized pests which come through from the needs analysis, and where possible, collaborating with pesticide manufacturers to fulfill label extension requirements or even emergency registration requirements. The modernization of pesticide application. This project includes a pre- and post-application monitoring comparative study, which compares our current herbicide and pesticide application methods, such as a knapsack sprayer or the tractor trailer, with the drones. This will be in both commercial and conservation stands within the forestry landscape, just so that we've got really on the ground information so we can properly compare the pros and cons of each of these application methods. Then the optimization of the application methods. So what are the correct volumes, nozzles, application rates, etc. required for the effective use of drones? And then the development of guidelines for legalities and training requirements, which is pretty much in line with the working group that Stefan was just referring to. So obviously we will be participating in that as well. Okay, project outcomes. The testing of the alternative products will include, as an objective focus, the project aims to advance knowledge in the testing and adopting of alternative chemical and biological products for integrated pest management in forestry, and then contributing to the applied forest protection skills essential for precision forestry and agriculture. Capacity development, which is in both projects. The initiative seeks to develop specialized skills and capacity in the applied forest protection, addressing scarcity of these expertise within South Africa. Cost reduction, which again will apply to both projects. The potential impacts of the project include a reduction in costs associated with pest management achieved through cost-effective and targeted interventions. Research capacity, much in line with capacity development. The project aims to enhance research capacity and skills in the natural resource management, fostering expertise that can be applied beyond the forestry sector. Global competitiveness, another one for both projects. Through the adoption of alternative pest management approaches, the forestry sector's global competitiveness is expected to improve, positively impacting the country's economy and society. Collaborative partnerships. The project emphasizes collaboration between research and academic institutions, the private sector, and government, for example, DST, who have kindly funded this project through the FSA. Fostering productive research and development with broader economic and societal benefits. And then, of course, the societal and economic benefits, where we look to strengthen collaborations between the various stakeholders, which is seen as an ideal for viable and productive research and development, contributing to the overall economic and societal well-being of South Africa. Particularly for the modernization of pesticide application, the comparison of applications, the project aims to understand how the unmanned aerial vehicles or drones compare with the traditional methods. This evaluation will provide insights into the viability of using this technology for forestry applications. The calibration and standard operating procedures. This initiative includes details of drone calibrations and SOPs serving as industry guidelines for optimizing the applications. These SOPs are designed to ensure precision and efficiency in applications. Legality and training guidelines. So guidelines will be formulated to address the legal aspects and any training requirements for drone applications, providing a framework for compliant and responsible forestry sector. And then industry adoption. The potential impacts of this project include paving the way for industry adoption of drone use, introducing a more advanced and potentially efficient method. We know that there are already some companies who are using the drones, but we need to find those guidelines and basic minimum requirements that we all adhere to so that at least we can make sure that it is an effective application method going forward. Risk reduction for applicators. So this is really important. The remote application of pesticides through the drones reduces the risk to applicators themselves, enhancing the safety by minimizing direct exposure to the chemicals during applications. Both capacity building and global competitiveness I have already spoken to, so I'm not going to talk about those. So going into a bit more detail of each of the projects, the testing of the alternative pesticide products. So we have got one postdoc, Dr. Bernice Bankol, who is based at the ICFR, and one MSc student, Gifton Dow, who is at NMU under Keith Little's supervision. The focus has been primarily on eucalyptus, and that's just as a result of what has come out of the survey. And this technical report is a review of the key nursery pests and diseases and products used for their control. This was completed, so the date is, was last year. The report was completed, the survey was done last year. But Bernice is always looking for additional input from other nurseries and forestry to update this information and keep it relevant. So she conducted a survey-based questionnaire, which she interviewed a number of nursery managers and a number of forestry individuals to identify the most prevalent pests and pathogens occurring in the nurseries and plantations, along with the determination of the products that are currently being used for their management. There we go. So her key findings from the survey were that following on from a survey done by Ilke Opperman in 2019-2020, the study provided just an updated list, although there hasn't been too much change in the list, which is probably a good thing. It means that there's no new pests and diseases for us to have to worry about. But it does give a comprehensive overview of what the major pests and diseases are in the industry, both in field and in the nurseries. As I said, the results have been fairly consistent with what Ilke had found, with no new major pests or diseases having been reported. So from here, the project now goes into its next phase, which will be having a look at alternatives. Here you can see a picture of some of the trials being put into place. Through the survey, Bernice identified the key pests and diseases to focus on, and in collaboration with some companies, has found some products to test that are either new chemistry coming into the market or are products that are currently on the market but are being used in other sectors, not in the forestry sector. So at the moment, a big thank you to Sappi Clan Nursery for letting us use their space. We, Bernice and Gift, have put in a pre-screening trial for both Quambalaria and for powdery mildew. The reason why we're calling it a pre-screening is just the volume of chemicals that are available. We need to kind of go through them and eliminate them and bring them down to just a handful that we can then properly test, which will then be listed for potential registration. So this is just a picture here. The first pre-screening trials have already been put in place. The second pre-screening trials have just been implemented last week. And then following on from this and the results coming out of that, we will then have a look at registration trials. The registration trials will not only be done on the best performing products, but also need to be in line with the registration of Act 36. So there are certain requirements that we need to fulfill for that. So there is a lot of conversation between ourselves and the pesticide manufacturing companies to ensure that these trials are rigorous enough to enable us to register these products going forward. Moving on now to the second part of the trial, the second part of the project, the modernization of pesticide application. So Gina Park is one of our students in Stellenbosch. She did a really great presentation at the TIPWEG webinar, which was held earlier this year. I am not going to even attempt to even touch on what she went through in her presentation. If you want a copy of the presentation, please reach out to us and we'll make a plan to get it to you. But Gina is making really good progress on weed detection in the drone imagery and has participated in and presented at a few workshops and is working very much on the machine learning techniques and AI. So as we all know, weeds are a direct competition, and in this case, for pine seedlings and trees out in field. And because the pines take a long time to canopy, this window of threat is extended. From work done by Keith Little, we know that the vegetative management done in the early part of the rotation can actually play a significant role in final yields. At the moment, most of our herbicide application is glyphosate, number one, but it is also predominantly done with knapsacks out in the field. The use of drones is a promising alternative because it gives us access to remote areas. We have higher resolution and we have real-time monitoring, so it can be really time and cost effective. Gina's hypothesis is that the developed machine learning model will enhance cost and time-efficient weed management practices in South Africa, which will be achieved by providing accurate information about weeds within the variable plantation environments of the forestry industry. This enhancement is accomplished through investigating different types of machine learning algorithms. And that's essentially what she's doing with the drones, is having a look at the monitoring of weeds and how we can use drones to do that, to then go to the next step, which will be the application. So from Gina's point of view, some of the scientific contribution from her work will be the real-time monitoring of weed growth. If we have improved data with regards to weed growth, we know then that we've got a better control of how much herbicides we used. Following on to her next one, tracking herbicide usage. So we actually know how much herbicide we're using out in field. There can also be an improvement in weed management because we can be much more targeted in the application and automation of the work process. So again, that separating the applicator from the actual chemical control itself. So in making sure that they are safer and healthier. And then, of course, the precision of agricultural techniques in forestry. The second part of this project is by Sihle Kuzwayo, who is an MSc student. And he was doing a comparative analysis, having a look at the difference between tractor-trailer drawn pesticide applications, the knapsack applications, and then the drone applications. He'll be looking particularly at the costs, efficiencies, and effectiveness of these three models so that we have a much better understanding of how the drones can be used efficiently and effectively in forestry going forward. So as I said, that was a real high overview of both of the projects. Two very different projects, but both very important into this IPM space that we are in the moment. I just want to say a big thank you to the Department of Science and Innovation for the funding. Thank you to Forestry South Africa. And then thank you to all participating nurseries and forest companies, in particular Sappi Clan Nursery. And then, of course, the project team themselves, of which there are numerous individuals, so I'm not going to try and name them all, but a big thank you to everyone who is making this project come to fruition.
Thank you very much, Jacqui, for your presentation and capturing quite a lot of information in such a short space, and also representing all the researchers involved in this project. On my side, I'm not seeing any questions at all.